Hi there. I'm glad to welcome you to my channel, World of Stories. I have a lot of interesting life stories that I want to share with you. Enjoy listening.
The strobe light beam pulsated to the rhythm of the energetic music composition, illuminating the twisting bodies. Unaccustomed to such a vibrant atmosphere, one could feel dizzy, but Henry felt right at home. He skillfully maneuvered among the dancers, careful not to spill the cocktail glasses. In one hand, he held a screwdriver with gin, and in the other, a mimosa for Juno. However, while he went to the bar for drinks, the girl disappeared. Searching for her in this frenzy was futile, so Henry began to slowly savor his drinks while moving to the beat of the music. When the first glass was half empty, two feminine hands wrapped around his neck from behind, and a familiar voice shouted right next to his ear. "Are you waiting for me?" The guy turned abruptly and pressed the girl, who decided to play such a careless prank on him, against the wall. At that moment, the furious LED beams fell on her face, and the guy recognized Indy. He quickly released himself from the girl. "Hey, Indy, how did you end up here?" "By chance. Don't take offense, but I wouldn't recommend joking with me like that again." "Why?" "It's dangerous. I don't like it when someone attacks me from behind. The reflex kicks in automatically." "Why is that?" "Silly question. It's a normal reaction for anyone." The music was blasting, almost deafening. Therefore, former classmates had to shout to communicate. Henry looked around again, but Juno was nowhere to be found among the dancers or the group of heavily intoxicated guys. He silently handed the mimosa glass to Indy. "My treat. Let's go outside." The girl nodded in agreement. She took a big sip of the vibrant drink through a straw. "Let's go, the music is pounding right into my brain." Henry took his classmate's hand and led her down the stairs. The high heels prevented the girl from ascending the steps quickly, and she said, "Henry, don't pull me. I might fall and break my nose." The guy slowed down a bit. "Sorry, I didn't think about it." He glanced at his companion's sparkling shoes. "I don't understand how anyone can walk in these. And for what purpose such sacrifices?" "For you. Every girl wants to be attractive." Henry made a funny gesture. "Indy, I beg you. Believe me, those hoof-like things don't make you any more beautiful." Young people comfortably settled in a corner near the cloakroom. The party resembled a regular disco, but for the sake of propriety and accountability, the organizers had announced a loud theme. Similar events took place every month at the youth center, and to attract the audience, drinks with flashy names were offered. On other days, the entertainment center mostly stood empty in the evenings. Only the local veterans choir gathered twice a week for rehearsals at the House of Culture. Therefore, the local wits like to make jokes about it. "Our town is special. We have funerals in the morning and wild dancing in the evening." But in commas, apart from the youth center, there were many other astonishing things that shattered the familiar stereotypes. One of such mass phenomena was the exodus of young people from the expanses of their homeland. People in their 20s came here in two cases, when they needed to replenish their budget and when they wanted to have fun in the club. Since the place where the paths of two classmates crossed spoke volumes, Henry looked at Indy understandingly. "Missed your hometown?" "You guessed it. I also dropped by for a couple of days to settle some matters." "Are you still studying?" Indy sighed deliberately loudly. "Henry, I'm in free fall at the moment. My mom got sick, and I can't just leave her alone. I'll try to find something here. When she gets better, then maybe I can think about returning to civilization." The young man waved his hand. "A hopeless endeavor. You'll just waste your time. Everyone dreams of making it in the big city, and here you came to this hole." Indy looked at him in surprise. "Henry, what's gotten into you? What if it were your mother?" The guy deftly performed an acrobatic trick and sat down on the other side of the girl. "Sure, showing compassion will earn you brownie points. But life isn't infinite. You have to think about yourself. I didn't think you were such a hardened egoist. I never hid that. But despite the fact that you almost insulted me, I can even help you." Henry tried to hug the girl, but she slipped away. And are you still acting so shamelessly? The guy smirked. Why hold back when the girls cling to me themselves? So, how about some help? Thanks, but I don't need intermediaries like you. Other people have already helped me, and they did it selflessly. I'm getting a job at Ariadne. Henry jumped for joy and performed another acrobatic feat. I knew it. I could sense from a distance that someone like you, Indy, is destined for the partnership of socks and mittens. But you don't know the most important thing. My mother runs this establishment under my grandmother's patronage. To be more precise, this establishment or company, as it is commonly called these days, is under the sole control of our family. Henry was tired of the long speech and, without much ceremony, took a glass from Indy. You don't mind sharing, do you? Indy tried to process the information she had just received. Thank you, I don't want any more. I never suspected that you had a direct connection to this company. You never mentioned anything about a family business. I remember in school, you boasted to everyone that your mom was a police colonel. Henry interrupted his classmate with annoyance. Don't you understand why I lied? I tried to distance myself from Granny's company, socks and mittens, because I didn't want to become a subject of ridicule. So, you were ashamed of your own family? Yes, even now, whenever possible, I try to do that. I have completely different plans. Henry was about to share his bold future projects with Indy, but their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Juno. The girls stormed over to Henry, reproaching him. Sweetie, where have you been? I've been looking all over for you. Juno's appearance spoke volumes, but the ambitious provincial girl probably had no idea how provocative he looked. Juno looked down on Indy with disdain and then blew a huge bubble with her chewing gum. Sweetie, who's this girl? And where's my cocktail? Henry cast a bewildered glance at the glass in Indy's hand but quickly composed himself. Firstly, dear, there's no need to run around when someone asks you to wait. And secondly, this is Indy, my classmate. Juno arrogantly tossed her brightly colored curls. Whatever, you don't need to make advances toward me anymore. Henry muttered under his breath. Yeah, get lost. Indy involuntarily felt as if she had been doused with a bucket of filth, but Henry was pleased with himself and tried to hug Indy again, only to receive a sharp blow to his hands. This greatly infuriated him. What do you think you're doing? You think just because you came from the capital, you can do anything here? We can break your wings in no time. I have no doubt about your abilities. Savage. Indy walked past Henry into the locker room and grabbed her coat. As she walked away, she could hear him shouting after her. Who needs you anyway? You look like the scarecrow of the Emerald City. And I even bought her a cocktail out of old friendship. Indy abruptly turned around. She quickly approached Henry and stuffed crumpled bills of the lowest denomination into the pocket of his hoodie. Without saying a word, she rushed out the door. No one had ever humiliated Henry like that before. Though there were no witnesses, a volcano erupted inside him. Just you wait, my classmate. I'll make sure to give you a show of my cleaning skills. Henry was overwhelmed by conflicting emotions, which he decided to drown with a generous amount of alcohol. In the crowd of writhing bodies, after a long search, he found Juno. His friend initially looked displeased, but when she saw the glass of orange drink, her spirits lifted. However, for the sake of formality, she still remarked. Do you think, Henry, a screwdriver will do me any good? Because when I drink too much, I start looking like a monkey. That's great. I love it when you, as my grandmother says, look indecent. Henry went to the bar several times, and by the end of the evening, he had lost his sense of spatial orientation. His cognitive abilities fared even worse. He didn't notice when or how his friend disappeared. Someone familiar took him to the entrance of his home, and he crawled his way up to the third floor. The last thing Henry remembered before completely blacking out was his mother's tear-stained face. He tried to reassure her. Mom, everything's fine. We just went out for a walk with friends and had a bit too much to drink, which is perfectly normal. The awakening was very painful. Henry looked around as much as he could. There was a chair next to the couch, and on it was a glass filled to the brim with water. Mom, you're a genius. With trembling hands, he reached for the glass, spilling half of the liquid on the way to his mouth. The heat in his head immediately subsided, and Henry sank back onto the pillow. But before he could completely drift off into blissful sleep, something interrupted him. Mrs. Brooks rudely snatched the pillow from under the sufferer's head. "Sit down, you can sleep later," she said. Henry groaned. "Mom, why so abruptly?" "That's a forbidden move," he said. "And is it normal to guzzle vodka every day?" she retorted. "I don't drink vodka. Your son only drinks cocktails. We'll discuss your abnormal hobbies with the doctor. I'm concerned about something else." "Mom, I'll answer all your questions, but later." "Agreed. Give me the pillow." "No, my dear. You will tell me right now when your escapades will end. Are you planning to spend your whole life like this?" Henry jumped up and ran around the room. "You're an interesting bunch. I asked you and Grandma to help me, and what did you say? Do it yourself, all by yourself." Mrs. Brooks was slightly taller than her son and considerably stronger. As soon as she laid her hand on his shoulder, Henry's knees buckled. "Mom, what are you doing? Why resort to brute force against your own son? I want to remind you, my dear, how to speak to your elders. You can express your dissatisfaction all you want, but I won't sell Ariadne for the sake of your elusive dreams. I'm sorry." Mrs. Brooks looked at Henry again, causing his stomach to rise to his throat. To combat the nausea, he quickly took a seated position. "Mom, I don't understand your logic. Since my early childhood, you instilled in me the belief that work dignifies a person, and now, when I am ready to accomplish great things through hard work, you change your perspective. No one is stopping you from working. On the contrary, I'm ready to assist you in every way. Here we go again. How have you helped me? You sent me away when I asked for money for the auto repair shop." Mrs. Brooks sat on a chair opposite her son. "Fine, let me repeat it once again for the slow-witted. Firstly, I don't have any spare money right now because we invested everything in buying new equipment." "I understand, and secondly?" "The second point follows from the first. I won't give money for dubious projects." "There you have it. You just confirmed that you're not giving me the opportunity to work." The woman, not without irony, corrected Henry. "No, son, all paths and tracks are open to you, but I won't sponsor your foolish ideas. Earn money and invest it wherever you want. You could have gone to work for Mr. King, he did invite you." "There you go again. I want to start my own business, not work for someone else. Do you think it's easy in the business world? Do you know how many circles of hell you have to go through to achieve any kind of result? You have no education, no experience. And Mr. King is not a stranger to us. If you haven't forgotten, he was your father's best friend." Henry jumped up in protest. "Mom. I remember everything. Yes, we owe a lot to that man, but why are you humiliating me? Now you're discrediting me. It wasn't for nothing that I had my brain washed in university for 3 years. You didn't even finish university, not even a year. That's it, Henry, the conversation is over. I'm already late because of you. Think about your life in your free time. You can visit Grandma. She called yesterday." Henry perked up. "Can I take your car? Driving in your condition? Take the bus." Mrs. Brooks took out a few bills from her wallet. "This should be enough for the road and mineral water." Henry took the money and absent-mindedly put it in his pocket. But to his surprise, he found a few more bills there. He immediately remembered the events of the previous evening and the meeting with his classmate. "I'll remember this, Miss Evans." Mrs. Brooks was already in the hallway. "What did you say about Miss Evans?" "Oh, nothing, Mom. We met Indy yesterday, and she said she's getting a job with you." "I'm not aware, but I was informed that a girl came to HR yesterday. She has a degree in knitwear design." A highly valuable specialist for us. Your classmate? Sort of. You see, she got an education, returned to her hometown, and things aren't the same for you because you're lazy. And let me tell you, Henry, quit with the drinking. This is your last warning. And what if I don't? The mother pressed her wayward son once again with an iron hand. I know you might not like my methods. But remember, I won't allow you to shame the family, and I'll take all possible measures to rid you of this bad habit. You know me. The apartment door slammed shut, and Henry was left alone with his gloomy thoughts. His head was pounding wildly, and he rummaged through the medicine cabinet. With trembling fingers, he took out a pill and swallowed it with a glass of water. His ailing body, suffering from a heavy hangover, craved something stronger, but Henry tried to push away the negative thoughts. No, enough is enough. It's time to quit. It has never been this bad before. If this continues, my liver will disintegrate into molecules in a couple of years. Henry decided to take a shower and then visit Isidore's house. Isidore was involved in shady dealings, so his reputation was far from spotless. There were even rumors that this local crook was involved in major crimes, but Henry believed it was all gossip that Isidore himself spread for publicity. A few days ago, the young man personally met with the entrepreneur, who promised him all kinds of support. Over the years of working, Mrs. Brooks had learned to understand people. With just one look, she could accurately determine what someone was made of and what thoughts they harbored. Legendary tales circulated about her telepathic abilities, and many were afraid to be left alone with her. After the morning conversation with her son, an unpleasant residue lingered in Mrs. Brooks' mind, and she tried to quickly get to her office. But the secretary, upon the appearance of her boss, cheerfully reported. Mrs. Brooks, there was a call from the city administration. They said the mayor is waiting for you. Thank you, Lauret. Is it urgent? They said to inform you as soon as you arrive, but you can confirm that yourself. Shall I connect you to the mayor's office? No need. Lauret, if someone asks for me, let them wait. The secretary glanced at the notes in her own handwriting in the Daily Planner. Did you schedule a meeting with someone? Because I don't have any events planned for today. In the morning, a girl should come by, Miss Evans. She's joining us. Right, I completely forgot about her. By the way, she's my neighbor. A talented girl, she made a name for herself in our state when she presented her original collection at a competition in school. Don't you remember? Mrs. Brooks focused, but she couldn't recall the events of those days. The secretary politely offered. While you're with the mayor, I'll find some information about Miss Evans. I remember downloading it onto the computer, just in case. Mr. Stewart was engaged in a heated phone conversation. Mrs. Brooks wanted to tactfully leave the mayor's office, but the city's chief gestured to a chair opposite his massive desk. He continued his conversation with an unseen interlocutor. I'm giving you until tomorrow morning. Yes, you heard me right, Mr. Cook. I want those potholes gone by tomorrow morning. I'll personally check. The mayor hung up his mobile phone and began tapping his fingers on the desktop, playing the dog's waltz. All the subordinates knew that this was his way of calming his nerves. Finally, Mr. Stewart collected his thoughts and ended with a smile, playing the last note. Apologies, Mrs. Brooks, for making you wait. It's like a war zone here every day, one moment the sewer bursts, the next some other disaster happens. I have to solve everything promptly, and yet, I'm just an ordinary person. But I can't afford to be weak when I'm entrusted with the responsibility for the entire city. Well, let's get down to business. Remember, we recently talked about the prospects of your company. Of course, I remember. The administration has been providing us with substantial assistance for many years. Mr. Stewart was pleased. And how can we help the city? The mayor looked mysteriously at his interlocutor. Not just the city, but the whole state. Tell me, how many job positions can you offer? Mrs. Brooks was taken aback. Mr. Stewart, you know about our difficulties. The most we can offer is 6 to 8 positions. Our company isn't flexible, the equipment is outdated and needs replacement. It's better if I don't start, or I'll spoil both my own and your mood. And rightly so. We always need to look at life with enthusiasm. Tell me, is there a possibility of increasing your capacity? No, we're already working at full capacity, in 2 shifts. You know that we have a special category of workers. People with disabilities make up the majority of our state, and we are obligated to create the most comfortable working conditions for them. The mayor pondered again. Yes, there are difficulties, but I believe that together we can overcome them. The situation with employment in our state is not very promising. The number of job opportunities provided by local companies is clearly insufficient, and the most affected group in this regard is women. These are single mothers, those who have found themselves in difficult life situations. Currently, there are about 20 women who have returned from serving sentences. They face particular difficulties in finding employment. But, Mr. Stewart, we would be willing to help, but... Yes, of course, we can't burden everything on your Ariadne, and we don't intend to do so. But we have reserves that will allow us to expand production quickly within a few weeks. If you have a 3rd shift, it won't work. The machines are old and constantly breaking down. Wait, Mrs. Brooks, don't panic. Everything is prepared, so to speak. There's space for another factory. With a small renovation, we can install the equipment. And we'll find the funds for these purposes, we'll gather them, ask our oligarchs. I believe they won't refuse us. So, what do you think about this agreement? It's reasonable, but you understand, Mr. Stewart, that we have our own specific work requirements. Newcomers won't be able to handle it, we'll have to train people. The man shrugged. But I don't think that's a problem. You can organize short-term courses on site. People will be grateful, after all, your company is known as a haven of kindness and mercy. Mrs. Brooks was surprised. I've never heard that before. Well, I hear a lot of positive reviews about your company, and I must say, I'm proud to have enthusiasts like you in our city. How many years have you been in charge? -22. My mother actually started the business back in the late 80s. Yes, it was a challenging time. The mayor pondered, then his kind face lit up with a smile. You won't believe it, but I also have 3 employees at home. In the evenings, they take needles in their hands and sit in front of the television, and the whole carpet is covered with colorful balloons, just like in a fairy tale. A familiar scene. My grandmother was a renowned craftswoman in her time. She made such lace that no computerized machine could replicate. That's wonderful. It's great that our country preserves traditions carefully. Mr. Stewart glanced at his watch, and Mrs. Brooks understood that he had other important matters to attend to. The mayor escorted her to the door. Thank you for your understanding. Believe me, we won't let you down. Oh, no. The city administration always helps us in everything. And our company is always ready to provide assistance within our means. So, we have an agreement. Let's meet again in about a week to discuss the details, and in the meantime, you can prepare a list of everything we'll need. Inspired by the new idea, Mrs. Brooks returned to her office. Just a glance at her boss was enough for Laurette to understand that something extraordinary had happened, but for the sake of politeness, she asked a neutral question. Something about taxes? No, Laurette, the mayor made us an offer we can't refuse. The secretary was burning with curiosity. Did he propose to you, heart in hand? Laurette, your jokes are inappropriate. Mr. Stewart is married, and you know that very well. It's something else. We will be expanding soon. A smile vanished from Laurette's face. You can't deny it, you've surprised me. Where else can we expand? Our artisans are already cramped, and we have regulations to follow. Laurette, living strictly by the standards is impossible. Sometimes we need to take risks. Yeah, and then pay fines for violations. Well, what's that? You scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's a give and take situation. Because, Mrs. Brooks, I care about the future of our Ariadne. Do you think just because I'm a secretary, nothing bothers me? No, even though I have a small salary, I am devoted to my work and I come here as if it were a celebration. Miss Jackson, you're a good employee. I understand your hint. Let's see how we can slightly increase your salary. Just a little. Laurette modestly lowered her eyes. You've misunderstood me. I'm saying this genuinely, not out of self-interest. You're right, we should stand up for our rights, and you truly deserve recognition. I'll let you in on a secret, the mayor has promised us favorable conditions, and even funding. At least one pleasant piece of news. Oh, I almost forgot. Miss Evans was here looking for you, she waited for you for a while and then left. Maybe she'll come back. As soon as she shows up, please send her straight to me. Mrs. Brooks wanted to continue working, but her thoughts were preoccupied with something else. She was thinking about the past and the future of her brainchild, to which she had dedicated not only half of her life but also a piece of her soul every day. She remembered how the mayor had referred to their enterprise as a haven of mercy and goodness. Such pleasant words were not heard every day. Henry slept until lunchtime. Perhaps sleep or a headache pill helped, but his condition significantly improved. Most importantly, his brain began to work actively. After a hearty meal, the after effects of the previous evening completely disappeared, and his personal browser started providing answers to the queries that had been troubling him for the past few days. Somewhere in his mind, a thought was born: go to your grandmother, she will definitely help you. He listened to his intuition. Although he had no desire to embark on a journey of 100 kilometers, Grandma Ward resided in a village called Sunbeam. After retiring, Henry decided to inform her about his visit. After the first ring, his grandmother's voice immediately answered. Henry, thank you for calling. I was just about to call you myself. I really need some masculine strength. I'll be there soon. While you're on your way, I'll prepare some dumplings for you. What filling do you want? Grandma, why even ask? You know I love them with potatoes and cabbage. Order received. Be careful on the road and don't talk to strangers. Nowadays, there are so many scammers everywhere. Granny, I'm not 5 years old. Even if you were 20. The modern youth is completely unprepared for life. Time flew by unnoticed during the journey. Henry tried not to think about the morning conversation with his mother, which had hurt his pride. Since childhood, he had been accustomed to getting whatever he wanted at his first demand. After all, he was the only male in the family. His father tragically died when he was still a little boy. He fell from the construction scaffolding and died on the spot. The family didn't even receive compensation because the deceased was blamed for the incident. Henry remembers how he and his mother went to the office where his father worked. They were greeted by an official with a dolphin-like face. Without even offering condolences, he declared, Madam, your spouse is to blame himself, he didn't follow safety procedures. That's why he fell. But, excuse me, all your workers complain about the lack of safety ropes. The bureaucrat turned red with indignation, his face covered in sweat. That's a lie, a conspiracy. I will report you to the authorities. You, madam, will be held accountable. Mom didn't say anything, but Henry couldn't hold back. You have a nose like a dolphin, except all dolphins are kind, and you're mean. The official even jumped. That's right, it's clear that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like mother, like son. And your husband was also a well-known troublemaker. Mom couldn't stand it anymore. She approached the man with bulging eyes and quietly said, Listen, you idiot. One more word, and I'll slap you right here. The official even held his breath. He shouted something after them, while Mom was in tears. What kind of mother gave birth to such a bastard? There's nothing sacred to this scum. Later, during the funeral, other people who worked with Dad came to them. One of them, Mr. King, handed Mom an envelope. Carolyn, this is from us, from the whole team. Please accept it. It's not much, but it's some help. Mom gratefully accepted the money. Mr. King used to visit them often at first, but then he stopped. However, Henry already understood something about adult relationships and guessed that Dad's friend had tried to court Mom, but she turned him down. Only once did he dare to express his opinion. Uncle Dave is cool, he knows everything about cars, and he doesn't have a wife. Mrs. Brooks couldn't stop laughing. Son, are you trying to marry me off to another man? Henry was deeply hurt by his mother's words, and in his heart, he even called her selfish, but he still complained to his grandmother. Why doesn't Mom consider my interests? Everyone on TV says you should listen to children's opinions. Mrs. Ward didn't immediately understand what her grandson meant. Henry, how did your mom offend you? She doesn't want to marry Uncle Dave? Grandma also laughed for about 10 minutes. It took Henry a while to understand what made his family laugh. Only later, as he grew older, did he realize how ridiculous he looked playing matchmaker. He just missed his father so much, and Uncle Dave seemed to fit that role best. Memories of the past warmed his soul a little, and the morning conflict seemed less serious. After all, in many ways, his mother was right, but Henry didn't want to admit it. He dreamed of big money, and his plan was best suited to realize that dream. There remained only one hope, Grandma. He knew that Mrs. Ward adored him and hoped that she would convince his mother to sell her weaving factory. He even had a potential buyer in mind. The dumplings on the plate looked very juicy. Mrs. Ward didn't leave her grandson's side for a moment. Eat, my dear, I even fried onions for you. Just the way you like it. Henry devoured the dumplings while Grandma admired him. A spitting image of your father, a copy of Jeff. Would you like some tea?
Yeah.
Tea, without sugar. Grandma laughed. So now you're watching your figure too? You always loved sweets. There were times when you poured so much sugar that it settled at the bottom. No, Grandma, I don't care about my figure. Sugar causes illnesses. And rightly so, everything in moderation. I also try to eat less sweets and avoid fatty foods to keep my cholesterol in check. Henry understood that Grandma was about to start talking about medical topics. She always carefully read everything related to health and wrote down all the advice from the famous doctor in a special notebook, so as not to listen to the lectures of the renowned physician unnecessarily. He asked, "You mentioned something about a man's matter. I've eaten and now I'm ready for some heavy physical work." Mrs. Ward snapped back to the topic. "Oh, it's just my old age, I almost forgot. I need to move some furniture, and I can't handle such work on my own." "Right, Grandma, rearranging things is beneficial. We'll do everything according to feng shui." "Oh, no need for me to do it the Chinese way, as you said. I want to move the old couch to the balcony and transfer the soft corner from the guest room to the living room. Guests rarely visit me anyway." "And what about me? You're here very rarely and not for long. You should move in with us, there's plenty of room." "No, thank you. The air here is clean, and I'm used to it. My life is not endless, soon I will hand over all my affairs to Carolyn. I've already made my will." Henry's heart raced wildly in his chest. He couldn't bring himself to broach this topic, even though he came here for that very reason. But Grandma, as if sensing it, started the conversation herself. Trying not to reveal his own anxiety, he began to scold Mrs. Ward. "Grandma, it's too early for you to think about the kingdom of heaven. You're still young and very beautiful. And do young people never die? Haven't there been cases where someone is walking and suddenly drops dead? Last year, an icicle killed a woman in our village. No one knows where they will die. That's why I decided to get all my affairs in order in advance." The elderly woman longed for companionship, and her grandson listened attentively. "You young ones are always in a rush, accustomed to doing things on the go. Henry, do you know our family history? About your weaving business, right? Why do you speak with such disrespect? By the way, I dedicated almost my entire life to this business, and it all started in a small room. Why did you choose knitting needles and hooks? Weren't there any more worthwhile and profitable options? Maybe there were, but I got used to working with what I knew. You see, all the women in our family were craftswomen, and my mother especially excelled at crochet. You won't find such delicate lacework today. Using machines may be faster, but it lacks the warmth that a craftswoman puts into her fabric. But it's one thing to knit socks for the family, and another to start a large-scale production. I didn't plan on it at first, but it just happened. Your great-grandmother suggested it to me when hard times came and everything in stores was rationed. I had to come up with something urgently. That's when your mother had just started school and my own business had closed down. I spoke with the other women, who were just as unfortunate, and we decided to find a solution together. And my mother suggested creating a small workshop. Hand knitting was very much in fashion at that time. We approached the authorities with our initiative, and they supported us, but they imposed a condition that we had to employ disabled individuals. And off we went. Did the money start pouring in right away? I find it hard to believe that you can earn a lot through knitting. We had an income, albeit modest, but it was enough to survive in those times. Soon we rented a larger space, bought imported machines, and expanded our product range. I've tired you out with my story. And we completely forgot about rearranging the furniture. Henry still wanted to ask a few more questions but decided not to rush things. Under Mrs. Ward's guidance, he rearranged the furniture in new positions. The day was nearing its end, and it was time to head home. Henry, come visit me more often. I've really enjoyed spending time with you and having a conversation. I've learned a lot too. Tell me, why is it called Ariadne? In honor of the mythical goddess, Mrs. Ward said with a sly smile. And your great-grandmother was also named Ariadne. No one called her by her patronymic, she went by that name until her death. She was quite a storyteller and even included a provision in her will to pass down the company. Well, our company. What about selling it? We can't sell it. There's one shareholder involved, but ultimately, the decision rests with the heir. Mrs. Ward unexpectedly fell silent, then looked at her grandson with surprise. Why are you questioning me in such detail? It's interesting, and I need to understand too. Well, yes, I didn't think of that. The business will pass on to you if Carolyn doesn't get married and have a brother or sister for you. Although that's unlikely now. Henry returned home around midnight. He tried to quietly make his way to his room, but Mrs. Brooks stopped him. Were you at Grandma's? Yes, we were moving furniture. I helped her with it. How is she doing? She's fine, feeling good. Thank you for checking on Grandma, I never have time for it. And now we need to think about the new factory too. Henry was desperate. He knew his mother would never agree to sell her weaving factory. Out of frustration, he clenched his teeth, but he had no intention of giving up on his idea. However, considering the circumstances, he now had to carefully develop an alternative plan of action. Mrs. Brooks tiptoed to the slightly ajar door of the conference hall and froze. Miss Evans was conducting another session, and not only new employees but also experienced craftswomen had come to listen. Many people don't realize that knitting was practiced even in ancient Egypt. This fact is confirmed by archaeological finds. For example, knitted socks and lace were found in the pyramids. Such luxury was only accessible to the wealthy. Lace has always been, including today, an essential element of festive attire. Someone exclaimed with emotion, "Good Lord! How did those poor women knit back then when there was no electricity yet?" Laughter ran through the hall. Mrs. Brooks, trying not to make noise, settled in a seat near the exit. When she noticed her boss, Indy became embarrassed, but the boss waved her hand approvingly. "Continue, Miss Evans. I also want to listen." The girl continued, "Our ancient rulers specifically invited masters from Venice, and they taught our women to weave bobbin lace." From the audience, the same voice chimed in again, "I know, they wind those wooden sticks with thread." Indy was pleased with the support. Yes, it's quite a complex technique, and not everyone was able to master it. Later, hooks appeared, and only in the middle of the last century did special machines come into play. Hand-knit items and knitwear have almost never gone out of fashion. They are very practical and, most importantly, keep you warm in winter. Knitting is popular in many countries, and national traditions are reflected in the patterns and designs. Indy spoke for almost an hour about the art of knitting and crocheting, and in the conclusion of her lecture, she demonstrated samples of various patterns to the audience. If you're not tired yet, you can take a look at this album. It's my diploma project. The collection is called Golden Autumn. Women flipped through the pages, unable to contain their expressions of admiration. How delightful. Is it all handmade, Miss Evans? But that's impossible. Everything is possible if you really want it. Yes, these are all handmade items, using only knitting needles and a crochet hook. Later on, we will explore some knitting techniques together and delve into the rules for treating knitted garments. Mrs. Brooks decided it was the perfect time to talk about future prospects. Miss Evans, allow me to speak. The girl blushed with embarrassment, as she was not yet accustomed to formal addresses. Yes, of course, in principle, I'm done for today. The boss quietly encouraged her. Indy, why do you blush every time? You're doing great. The women listened to you so attentively. I also enjoyed your lecture. This was just an introductory session. I have a plan. Excellent, show it to me after the sessions, and we'll discuss the details together. Don't run away, we'll go to my office later. All right, Mrs. Brooks. The company's head turned to the audience. Miss Evans is conducting these sessions at my request. I would love for not only new employees but also the old ones to attend. Very soon, practically in the coming days, we are opening a new factory that will produce goods for mass demand. An enthusiastic listener added, hats and gloves. Mrs. Brooks looked at the filled rows, trying to figure out this proactive worker. You guessed it, gloves, scarves, sweaters, and other knitted items. Our technical staff has already started installing the equipment, and here I want to emphasize something. The new machines are much more complex to operate than the old ones. So those who will work on them will have to undergo special training courses. A buzz went through the hall. The boss paused. The training will be provided by the organization. I ask you to take your work very seriously. All the real and upcoming changes that have come our way did not happen by chance. The city authorities have greatly assisted us in this. And I really don't want people to have a negative opinion of our company. Try to help each other, and then we will all be guaranteed success. And now, everyone back to their workstations. The women dispersed, fervently discussing the information they had received. Most of them, especially the young girls, looked at Indy with envy. One elderly worker couldn't hold back. Can you believe it? She hasn't even hatched from her egg, and she's already a boss. Marin, if you had the same diploma, you would be sitting in a cozy office, giving orders too. Mrs. Brooks was accustomed to listening to the opinions of her employees, even when they were expressed in unofficial settings. She liked that Indy was being spoken of with respect. The secretary confirmed this fact yesterday and also shared her point of view. You know, Mrs. Brooks, at first, I was surprised by your decision to make this girl the head of the technical department, but now I see that you didn't do it in vain. She's a smart girl. Miss Jackson, as you know, people don't become bosses right away. Everyone has to start somewhere, and we need to give them that opportunity. You probably noticed that with the arrival of Miss Evans, our team has somehow come alive. Yes, it's impossible not to notice. I'm afraid to speculate too far ahead, but in the future, we could open a design department where new models will be developed. Very ambitious plans, Mrs. Brooks, but we can't handle such scale on our own. It's difficult to do anything alone, but who's stopping us from searching for a reliable partner? The secretary looked at the boss in surprise because she had previously shown no interest in partnerships. A sense of responsibility crept into Miss Jackson's soul, but Mrs. Brooks was unaware of her assistant's concerns, carried away by the boldest hopes. She returned home. As usual, Henry was not there, only a note lay on the table. I'm fine. I'll be back late. Her lifted spirits immediately plummeted. There was nothing interesting on TV either, and the woman thought with melancholy. I've always been afraid of loneliness, and with each passing day, it's getting closer, and I'm only 43. Is this the age for a woman? No, Carolyn didn't regret choosing a challenging path for herself, but the successes in business couldn't replace personal happiness. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she bitterly exclaimed, I'm just an ordinary woman. And let's not lie to ourselves that I don't want masculine warmth and attention. I do. In a burst of emotions, she grabbed her mobile phone and dialed a familiar number. Dave, hello. I hope you haven't forgotten your old and loyal friend. It's been a while since we had a heart-to-heart chat. If you're not too busy, come over. Yes, right now. Mrs. Brooks quickly set the table and put the kettle on the stove. Soon, the doorbell rang. Mr. King arrived with a bouquet of chrysanthemums and a cake to sweeten the conversation. The hostess felt flustered and busy. Come in, Dave. I'm sorry for bothering you. You know, lately I catch myself thinking that I don't want to come back home. It's a common phenomenon among busy people. By the way, it's not only women but men as well who experience it. I also often feel discomfort. Why don't you get married? The man looked at the hostess with a long gaze. Carolyn, why ask provocative questions? You know very well the reasons for my commitment to the bachelor life. Let's not spoil the evening. Where can I place this piece of art? The man lifted the box with the pastry. Here, Dave, in the center, as it should be. They drank tea, reminisced about moments from the past, but each had their own thoughts. Finally, the guest asked. You wanted to talk? Yes, but I don't know where to start. Everything in this life has become tangled and confused, and I often feel like that fish that naively got caught in the nets. You know, there's almost a physical sensation of the presence of these nets, but I can't understand who set them up for me and where. Mr. King stirred the cooling tea with a spoon, lost in thought. I don't want to sound naive, but it seems to me that you're exaggerating. It's all the drawbacks of our professional activities plus the midlife crisis. Dave, you surprise me. You speak like a psychologist. But I want to hear something different from you. The problem is that we, you and I, along with many others, are closed off. We're afraid of something we don't want to talk about, so doubts fill our souls and keep us restless. So you're saying that we're to blame for everything? Of course, loneliness is a consequence of our closed-off nature. We surround ourselves with glass walls from all sides. I never thought about it that way. But you're right. Indeed, I am. Take, for example, yourself. You have close people, your son, Mrs. Ward, yet you still live like on an island. You've noticed that very subtly. By the way, Henry came to see me not long ago. I don't like his state. He seems so jittery, looking around like a frightened animal. You should talk to him. The woman sighed heavily. I've tried, more than once. He's, as they say these days, on his own wave. He only listens to himself, wants everything and wants it now. He also tried to tell me about his idea, but I didn't really understand anything. The guy is restless, unable to find himself. We need to help him. I've tried, suggested that he turn to you, but Henry doesn't want to listen to my advice. And what does he say about what he wants and how he envisions his future? He says that, in his imagination, life is like a playground with no losing moves, but plenty of bonuses. He's willing to sacrifice everything for such a comfortable existence and believes that I should do the same. They're all like that nowadays. Well, I have to disagree with you there. Not everyone is like my Henry. Recently, a girl, Miss Evans, joined our company. She's my son's classmate. Mr. King shrugged his shoulders. Well, even though our town is small, I'm not familiar with this lady. So, what surprised you about this indie? Yes, everyone. She's a talented girl, modest, respectful. Sounds like a character from a good novel. Don't be sarcastic, Dave. But indeed, this girl deserves respect, if only because she knows what she wants. And my Henry is used to everything being done according to his wishes. Now he demands that I sell Ariadne, and with the money, he'll buy an auto workshop in the capital. This news surprised the guest. So, that's where the beard grows. I couldn't figure out why Henry was so diligently hovering around me. You know, he also asked me for money, as if I had it growing on trees in my garden. He came, plucked as much as he needed, and that was it. Dave, he talks to me in the same manner. He convinces me that I'm old-fashioned, that I don't understand anything. The man laughed, but it was a joyless laugh. And at 20, he understands everything. Carolyn, don't be upset. Our youth's minds are turned in a completely different direction. We were raised to believe that hard work is the most important thing in life, but for them, money is the value. It's called the generation gap. Dave, you should be helping people psychologically instead of fixing cars. But a few minutes ago, you were criticizing me for that too. Sometimes it's hard to understand you women. The conversation with Dave calmed down Mrs. Brooks a bit. As she said
Goodbye.
to him, she promised to have a serious talk with her son. The family's old friend once again offered his help. This cozy evening awakened hope in the man's heart for reciprocal feelings from Carolyn. He had long been secretly in love with this charming woman, but his first attempt to become more than just a friend to her ended in failure. Since then, Mr. King had diligently extinguished any spark in his heart. No sooner had the guest left than Henry appeared. He was in a good mood and had a healthy appetite. Mr. King came to see us? Well, I felt sad, so I invited him for tea. Great, just like in the good old days. Too bad I didn't know, or I would have joined you. Henry immediately attacked the cake, which caused his mother's disapproval. Eat your main course first, and then have dessert. Uncle Dave rightly noted that everything is upside down with you. Who are you referring to? The youth, and specifically you. Henry, with his mouth full, mumbled something incoherent. After eating his fill, he said with an important demeanor, Mom, your mistake is that you're accustomed to living in the old times. For example, in your Ariadne, they make things using old patterns. Right? Mrs. Brooks heard such reasoning from her son for the first time. That's true, and what about it? The thing is, fashion changes, and those patterns that were used just yesterday can be confidently discarded as they lose their relevance. Mother didn't know how to respond. Henry was satisfied and drew a conclusion. Now you understand why I'm in a hurry. Are you afraid of being late? Well, yes, because there will always be people who want to surpass you, if not at the start, then definitely at the finish. Henry was filled with emotions, and he couldn't fall asleep for a long time. The extinguished hope flared up again with flames. Henry decided to probe the ground once again in the morning, that is, to have an open conversation with his mother. Henry even woke up earlier to catch his mother at home. He prepared breakfast and knocked on the door of her bedroom. Mrs. Brooks, would you like me to bring coffee to your bed? Or would you prefer to come to the kitchen yourself? The woman was surprised by her son's unusual behavior. Thank you for your care, but I'm used to having my meals in the kitchen and only after washing up. Henry, wearing an apron with crimson poppies, beamed with happiness. Please, have a seat at the table. Mrs. Brooks couldn't help herself. Son, were there any bad news in today's newspapers? I don't understand, what do you mean? Maybe there was an emergency incident in the forest, and all the wolves started running? I mean, you surprised me early in the morning, but I can guess the reasons behind this display of generosity. I mean, your exemplary behavior. Mom, you're no fun to be around. You always know everything in advance. There's nothing unusual about that, my dear. It's just that I have a rich life experience. And besides, I've learned my son's habits quite well. Come on, spill the beans about what you need. Moreover, your birthday is coming up, and I'd like to please you with a gift. Henry became even more animated. You're right, Mom, I almost forgot about my birthday, but I don't need anything. You know what I dream of. Mrs. Brooks' face turned gloomy. Henry, who are you so stubbornly fixated on? We have already discussed this topic multiple times, and you know very well that I don't change my decisions. I don't understand your pathological persistence. How can't you understand that you need to start with something smaller and gradually develop? Life is not a fairy tale, and nobody will hand you all 33 pleasures on a silver platter. Success is always the result of hard work and determination. The cup crashed loudly against the sink. Startled, the woman even flinched. Henry shouted, as he used to in childhood when he demanded the fulfillment of his whims. The same old story again. I'm sick and tired of your advice. Nobody understands me. Mrs. Brooks tried to embrace her son, but he abruptly pushed her away. I don't need your tender affections. I have long grown up, but you stubbornly refuse to notice it and treat me like an incapable schoolboy. And, by the way, I have independently created a business plan and even presented it to specialists. All right, and what do the economic calculations show? What are the prospects for your enterprise? What is the payback period for the expenses? Henry blinked rapidly in confusion, and 2 solitary tears of despair rolled down his cheeks. Mrs. Brooks felt sorry for her son, but she understood that pity was inappropriate at the moment. You see, you don't even know such elementary things. How do you expect to manage an entire enterprise? I'll hire knowledgeable people. Smart individuals have advised me on where to find suitable employees. And they will deceive you at the first opportunity because no one in the modern world squanders valuable employees. People are the main capital of any organization. Henry, amateurism is dangerous in any enterprise, and you're trying to solve everything based on emotions, which is doubly dangerous. I promise to help you, but first, you need to obtain an education and gain experience. You could start in our company or with Mr. King. He is reliable, a trusted person, and is willing to support you. Henry could no longer contain himself as his last hope melted away. He kicked a chair aside and rushed into the hallway. I don't need anything from you, neither from you nor from your Mr. King. From this day forward, I will solve my own problems. The door slammed shut, causing plaster to fall from above. That's it, they had said their piece. Mrs. Brooks tidied up the kitchen and then sat on the chair that stood in her son's way, and she started crying. She never thought that such a day would come when she would feel helpless. Lately, the weight of helplessness had been pressing down on her shoulders. The success in business did not bring her joy because she couldn't find understanding with her only son. She decided to visit her mother after work. Mrs. Ward had an amazing ability to calm everyone down. For several days, her son didn't speak to her. He left early and returned home after midnight. Mrs. Brooks even thought he had found a job, which eased her worries a little. But before the weekend, Henry asked for the car. He averted his gaze, but it was evident that he was very nervous. Mom, I need to go out of state. Can I take the car? She looked attentively at her son. Are you still upset? All right, it's your business. As for the car, you didn't need to ask. It was a gift from me and your grandmother. The only condition is never to drive under the influence. I've taken that rule to heart. Can I go then? Of course. Wait, though. Have you still not decided on a job? Henry flinched at the question, which didn't escape his mother's notice. His voice also began to tremble. Mom, I've told you that I won't bother you about it anymore. I'll try to solve my problems on my own. For heaven's sake, I have no desire to suffocate you. I asked out of pure curiosity. You're still my son, and your fate is not indifferent to me. Henry smirked, but it came across as very provocative. Thanks for your concern. Don't be hypocritical, and remember my offer. What offer? You can start working at the company today. Mom, are you kidding me? Are you suggesting I knit scarves for babies? You have a narrow mindset. We've opened a new factory with complex equipment. We need technicians. If you don't fancy that kind of work, you can become a mechanic at the garage. I think it would be a good start for you. And eventually, you'll have to understand it anyway because our family business will be passed on to you. Thanks, Mom, I'll think about it. The door slammed loudly, and Mrs. Brooks realized that her son was making it clear that he didn't care about her affairs. The worries of the past months had severely poisoned the young man's life. He needed an outlet for this negative energy. At first, Henry thought about getting drunk, but he remembered the aftermath of his last drinking spree. No, that wasn't a solution. It's better if I ride to the city and then visit Isidore. Summer was in full swing, and the young man admired the passing girls. What beauties! It would be nice to be friends with at least one of them, but never mind, once I sort out my own affairs, I'll focus on my personal life. Henry had not yet met a girl with whom he would want to spend his entire life. And he had never really thought about serious relationships, although he understood that girls like Juno were not suitable for family life. But spending pleasant time with approachable girls? That was an option. The young man wondered aloud why such thoughts were increasingly occupying his mind. There must be a reason why I think like a poet. My grandmother would say it's time for me to get married. He was already driving onto the ring road when he noticed a familiar silhouette on the pedestrian crossing. After driving a few meters, Henry stopped the car. Indy? Miss Evans, get in, I'll take you wherever you need to go. The girl was delighted by the unexpected encounter. Hello, it's not far for me, but I still don't feel like walking in this heat. Interesting, Miss Evans, what brings you out during the workday? Oh, I'm running errands. They gave me addresses of several local artisans. I want to talk to them. I'm working on a new collection and need fresh ideas. I've heard about you. My mom always mentions you as an example. Really? Well, I must admit, I'm pleased to hear that. How about you, how are things? Normal. Listen, Indy, I apologize for that incident. The girl pretended not to understand him. Henry, what are you talking about? Yes, about that incident at the party. I wasn't myself then. What nonsense. I forgot about it a long time ago. Henry let out a sigh of relief. I wanted to find you, but it was awkward. What do I hear? You feeling awkward. That's an incompatible notion, it seems to me. The girl suddenly exclaimed. Henry, you're babbling. We've passed my destination. No worries, we'll turn back now. No need, it's not far to walk from here, I'll manage on my own. Indy, stop it. Allow me to feel like a true gentleman, even if just for 5 minutes. Fine. The guy drove the girl to her destination, and in gratitude, she kissed him on the cheek. Henry interpreted this gesture as a signal to take action. Indy, maybe we can hang out somewhere in the evening? The girl turned around. I'm not against it, but I can't do it during the week. Call me on Saturday if you haven't changed your mind. Henry gazed at his classmate for a long time. She's a cool girl and so principled, she'll never let me down. Isidore greeted him warmly. Come in, Henry, but you've arrived a little untimely. We'll have to wait. I'm not in a hurry. Well, that's good. There's so much work here, and no time to catch a breath. Everyone in town knew that Isidore was involved in shady dealings, but no one bothered him. There were rumors that this swindler with the appearance of a wrestler was involved in more serious activities, but it was also hearsay. Henry himself had encountered dubious individuals in Isidore's office, or as the entrepreneur called his little shed where he traded all sorts of odds and ends, and this activity was legal. He had to wait for about an hour. During that time, Henry examined the entire assortment of Isidore's store. Finally, the owner himself appeared. Not getting bored here? Let's go to the back room, where there are no prying ears. Henry obediently followed the owner of this place. Tea or coffee for you? Are you kidding, Isidore? Who drinks tea in this heat? It's just that we're drinking the wrong tea, whereas people in Asian countries always quench their thirst with tea. I'm not offering strong drinks because I maintain a healthy lifestyle myself. In our line of work, you have to keep your brain sharp, otherwise the consequences can be unpredictable. I've already understood that. Isidore poured a dark, fragrant liquid into a glass. Give it a try. It's a magical herbal drink that instantly clears your mind. Henry cautiously took a sip, and then another. A pleasant wave spread throughout his body. Well, how is it? Excellent drink, isn't it? This is the tea I told you about. So, shall we get down to business? Sure. Henry began to tell his story, or what he considered to be his misfortune. Due to nervousness, he stumbled and jumped from the beginning of his narrative to the end, but Isidore never interrupted him once. He listened while constantly twirling a keychain in his hands, and there was something ominous about this action. When Henry explained the essence of the matter, the entrepreneur remained silent for a long time. Then Isidore looked at him in a way that made him squirm in his seat. Well, what do you say? Will you help me? I will. But first, answer me one question. What are you willing to do to achieve your goal? To make it clearer, what sacrifices are acceptable to you? Any. Kid, you realize that this is all serious stuff. It's not like playing computer games where you can start over. Isidore, there's no need to persuade me. I understand everything, I'm not a child. Well, if that's the case, then let me briefly explain the terms to you. You and I will sign a document where you commit to selling or transferring your business after a successful deal. But in addition to that, you will have to pay for the services of those who will undertake a very delicate procedure. Understood? Yes, Isidore. And what guarantees are there? Kid. What are you talking about? No, you really don't understand how serious this is, or are you joking? I also want to warn you that there will be no turning back. Henry remained silent. He felt his heart pounding madly in his chest, but he realized the full scale of what he had done later. As they said
Goodbye.
Isidore gave him an encouraging pat on the shoulder. Don't be sad, man. There comes a moment in life when you have to make adult decisions. Your mother is a good woman, she is respected, but she doesn't play by the rules of the game. Serious people have offered her favorable conditions many times, but she casually sent them along a well-known path. And not long ago, they warned her that crossing the road on a red light is dangerous. I expressed it metaphorically. But Mrs. Brooks didn't care. Moreover, they say she established some kind of cooperation with the mayor. Is that true? Yes, they opened a new factory and brought in all sorts of machines. That's good. So you're saying your grandmother is involved? According to the documents, is she the owner of the company? Isidore wanted to ask something else but changed his mind. He escorted the visitor out. Well, see you. I'll find you or call you myself. The next day, Henry called Indy and arranged a meeting. What do you prefer, a movie or a restaurant? Laughing, the girl replied. Neither. Let's just go for a walk. Agreed. Then at 6 o'clock, and don't be late. Until late at night, they wandered the streets of their hometown. Indy enthusiastically talked about her work, and Henry envied her. He also wanted to find something he loved doing, so he could openly share it with someone. Mr. Stewart once again puzzled Mrs. Brooks. Just as the reorganization process at the factory was completed, he invited her for another conversation. This time, the mayor paid her less attention because he was in a hurry to attend a meeting in the state. Mrs. Brooks, please excuse me, but I'm in a hurry. I'll give you a brief summary. We need to reformat your production a bit. You won't refuse us, will you? Of course not, Mr. Stewart. Could you tell me more about the details? That's possible, but not now. I invited you specifically to warn you that guests will be arriving at your place today. You'll understand everything. This company is almost bankrupt. We need to help them get back on their feet. You'll be able to discuss all the details of the future partnership with their representatives. Let's hope it will be fruitful. Mrs. Brooks was puzzled by this new turn of events. She replayed the events of the past few months in her mind, trying to understand what was wrong with them. There was an important thought that flashed through her mind several times like lightning, but she couldn't catch it. I don't like all of this, she said. Visitors were waiting for her in the reception area, a respectable man and a woman. Miss Jackson informed her, "They came for you, Mrs. Brooks. They say you're aware of the situation." "Yes, the mayor warned me," she politely replied, inviting the visitors in. "Please, come in." The secretary anxiously awaited the end of the audience, but the guests spent several hours in the boss's office. They emerged tired but satisfied. The man lingered with Mrs. Brooks. "I believe we'll meet again soon. I'll clarify the points you raised, and then we can discuss the terms of our collaboration in detail." When the door closed behind the visitors, Miss Jackson sympathetically asked, "Partners?" "Seems like it." "Almost bankrupt," Mrs. Brooks replied. "For heaven's sake, why do we need this burden?" Miss Lorette exclaimed. "Lorette, I'm not happy about it either, but it's too late to back down." Throughout the evening, Mrs. Brooks thought about this strange visit and the mayor's endless requests, and she recalled the fish tangled in a net. But this association was so frightening that her heart skipped a beat. Without waiting for her son's return, she fell asleep, and in her dream, Mr. Hughes, yesterday's visitor, appeared to her. The new morning began with surprises. First, Mrs. Ward called and expressed her dissatisfaction with the infrequent visits. "They've completely forgotten about me. I'm sitting here all alone, with no one to talk to. The neighbors have scattered, and it's unbearably boring. Mom, I promise, Henry and I will definitely visit you this weekend." "That's right, come together. I'll prepare something delicious." After the meeting, the second surprise awaited her. When Mr. Hughes appeared at the office door with a huge bouquet of red roses, she immediately remembered her dream. With irony, she said, "It turns out dreams do come true." The man raised his eyebrows in surprise. "What are you talking about, Mrs. Brooks?" "In my dream, I saw you, just without the bouquet. I didn't expect to appear in such beautiful women's dreams, but I must admit, it flatters me. Let's say it flatters me too. And thank you for the flowers." As promised, Mr. Hughes brought the necessary calculations with him. Mrs. Brooks only glanced at the neat rows of numbers and set the papers aside. "If you don't mind, I'll invite an economist and an accountant." The partner's representative squirmed in his chair but agreed. "Of course, it's your right, although I think everything is clear already." "Sorry, but I'm used to trusting the opinion of specialists." They worked together again throughout the day. "Mr. Hughes, it's time for us to finish. These numbers are making my eyes blur and giving me a headache." "To be honest, I feel the same way. Maybe we should have dinner? I've heard there's a good restaurant in the center here." "Yes, people speak highly of it, but I haven't been to such places in ages. See, today presents a convenient opportunity. Plus, we should celebrate our acquaintance." "Oh, no. I don't handle alcohol well. I think a glass of champagne won't harm your health." After the restaurant, Mr. Hughes escorted her to the entrance of her building and, saying,
Goodbye,
kissed her hand. It was a wonderful, unforgettable evening. "Thank you. Thank you too for pulling me out into the social scene. I had forgotten what relaxation feels like. It's all work, work. I promise to focus on that matter closely." Henry met his mother in the hallway. "Mom, it's midnight. I have every right." "Of course, you do. Can I ask where the bouquet came from? Do you have an admirer? Perhaps, you don't mind, do you?" "I'm all for it. It's about time to end your monastic life." "Well, I'm also seeing someone." "Wow. And who is this lovely stranger?" "You know her very well. It's Miss Evans." "Goodness, so much news in one day. I don't know whether to be happy or cry." "Better be happy, Mom. Grandma called this morning. She's not happy that we visit her so rarely. I promised we would come over the weekend. Will you accompany me?" "Mom, you didn't have to ask. You know how I feel about Grandma. Maybe I should invite Indy?" "That's right, and Grandma will be happy. Let's just agree that I'll be the one driving." All right. That night, Mrs. Brooks had colorful dreams again. She couldn't remember what they were about, but the feeling of joy lingered after waking up. Mr. Hughes appeared at the end of the workday, but this time they strolled through the city until late. When it was time to say
Goodbye.
she unexpectedly offered, "Mr. Hughes, how about your availability for this weekend?" "I'm free." "Then I invite you on an exciting journey. My mother lives in the countryside and misses us dearly. My son and I promised to visit her." "Excellent. I'll also get to meet your heir. Let's drop the formalities and use first names." "Sure, Carter." In the evening, Carolyn habitually went through the events of the day in her mind. She remembered that Carter referred to her son as an heir, but she found the old-fashioned term endearing. She didn't sense anything worrisome or unusual in it. The news of the CEO of Ariadne Company getting married spread throughout the town. Miss Jackson showed particular enthusiasm in sharing the merits of the out-of-town groom with anyone who would listen. "I knew it would happen as soon as I saw Mr. Hughes. I just knew fate brought him to us. They are the perfect couple. Such a man." Many women and young girls envied the lucky businesswoman's happiness at this age. Mrs. Brooks paid no attention to gossip and rumors, she savored her happiness. The woman couldn't believe that it was all happening to her in reality, not in a dream. Carter immediately found common ground with Henry. They often went fishing together and once went hunting, but then the son firmly declared, "No. Hunting is definitely not for me. I can't do it, I feel sorry for all the animals." Carter looked at the boy strangely but didn't say anything. He never invited him for hunting again. Changes also occurred within the company itself. Ariadne provided great assistance to their partner, and positive results of the merger were observed within 3 months. One evening, Mrs. Brooks herself suggested to her husband, "Carter, we are now one family, and I intend to propose your candidacy for the position of my deputy." However, contrary to her expectations, she didn't see joy on her husband's face. "Carolyn, maybe that's right, but I don't want to stand in anyone's way." "You don't have to worry about that." After the company's expansion, the staff increased, and there was a need for another assistant. In other words, everything stays in place, and you become my second in command. Automatically, as a family member, you'll be part of the board of directors. If you think it's necessary, I can't refuse. But let me know more about the composition of the board and what decisions this alliance makes. You're a lawyer, you'll understand all the nuances. Her husband listened attentively and occasionally asked accompanying questions. Carter's candidacy was approved by the board of directors, but the family's happiness was soon clouded by their first serious argument. It happened 3 months after the solemn wedding ceremony, just before Christmas. On Friday, around 5 in the evening, there was a timid knock on the office door. Mrs. Brooks let Miss Jackson leave early, as relatives unexpectedly arrived at Lorette. At first, she thought it was her imagination. The weather outside was stormy, and the blizzard was banging against the windows, but the knock repeated. "Come in." "Who's there being so timid?" "It's me, Mrs. Brooks." Mrs. Roberts, the head accountant, was the subject of ridicule. Besides her preference for old-fashioned attire, she also wore glasses with high diopters. "Mrs. Roberts, why are you knocking on the door so quietly, like a mouse?" "I'm sorry, but it's not my habit to do it any other way. I wouldn't have bothered you if it weren't for a questionable invoice. Take a look." The accountant handed the printout to her supervisor. "This payment did not go through us, I remember it clearly. And look at the amount." "I see, dear Mrs. Roberts, and thank you for bringing it to my attention. We will look into it." Mrs. Brooks decided not to make a premature fuss, but for the past 2 days, we haven't been able to determine the origin of this unauthorized account. The woman decided to share her concerns with her husband. "Carter, we have a problem. I don't know what to think." The man set aside the newspaper he was reading with enthusiasm. "And what form do these problems take? It's almost a 2 million bill. It's unclear how this money went missing and where it went." Carter looked at his wife with indifference. Why get worked up over such trivial matters? It's just $2 million, as if it's nothing. For others, it's a fortune even if it seems insignificant to you. Compared to Ariadne's profits, it's nothing. But to put your mind at ease, I'll tell you that I personally transferred that money. Where to? Why didn't I know anything about it? Why bother cluttering your mind with such trivialities? Carter. Stop joking about these things. You don't have the right to do this. The man reached out his hands to her. Come here, I'll calm you down. Stop it. Tell me, where did this money go? Carter got up from the couch and looked at her in a way that sent chills down her spine. Let's sort everything out. Since I'm a member of the board of directors, I have the right to oversee financial flows and transfer funds to suppliers. And to whom did you transfer the money? I want to know. Calm down. If you insist so passionately, I'll tell you that I simply borrowed that amount for a while. It hasn't disappeared anywhere, it's just temporarily transferred to our partner's account. And why is that account hidden? Well, it's a small trick. Mrs. Brooks trembled with anger. Listen, Carter. I won't allow you to deal with such matters behind my back. If it happens again, I'll be forced to bring it up at the board of directors. Oh. What a grand name. And who is part of this board? 3 girlfriends and your mother, prominent figures. It's like a kindergarten, for God's sake. Don't forget that, by law, I have rights too. Caroline remarked sarcastically. But here, my dear, you are mistaken. This is a family business, and only immediate relatives have inheritance rights. Carter clearly didn't expect such a response. He was even shaken with anger. When the emotions subsided, Caroline regretted blurting out the legal nuances to her husband. She had to recall this fatal mistake once again when a terrible tragedy occurred. Henry would often disappear with Indy, which had become a daily norm. The young couple planned to get married and decided in advance to rent an apartment. Mrs. Brooks tried to discourage her son from this idea. Henry, we have enough space here, we're family. Why go wandering around apartments? Mom, that's what all couples do these days. Indy and I have decided to start our independent life right from day one. Well, suit yourselves. Give it a try. Mrs. Brooks was convinced that the young couple would spend the evening in their cozy nest. But at 11 p.m., Henry called, his voice trembling with excitement. Mom, something's wrong. What happened? Is something wrong with Indy? No, Indy is fine. Grandma called. I couldn't understand anything, she was screaming that there's a fire. What's on fire? Mom, I have to go and find out. Son, I'm coming with you. Come pick me up. Carter was surprised. Caroline, where are you going in the middle of the night? There's a problem with Mom. Oh, come on, don't raise an alarm prematurely. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. It happens at her age. Carter, what age? Mom is only 64, and she's in her right mind with a sharp memory. I'll try to contact the local police, I had their number somewhere. He grabbed her hand. Wait, Caroline, there's no need to call anyone. Don't embarrass yourself. The woman looked at her husband suspiciously. Why are you so pale? You look terrified. I'm worried about you, Caroline. Where are you going in the middle of the night? The roads are icy. But Mrs. Brooks no longer heard her husband's complaints. Even before reaching the village, they could smell a strong odor of smoke. People were gathered outside, and fire trucks were parked. Mom, I'm scared. It looks like we're too late. Caroline rushed towards the smoldering remains of the house. She frantically approached one witness after another. Mom, what about her? Where is she? Did they take her in an ambulance? An unfamiliar elderly man approached her. Be strong, Caroline. Mrs. Ward couldn't escape. She was screaming, and we tried to help her, but we couldn't. Everyone present near the fire heard a cry. They found a body. From a distance, Caroline could only see rescuers dragging something dark through the snow. Blue flowers briefly flashed before her eyes. Those flowers were on Mrs. Ward's robe. A wild scream tore through the night sky. Mom. Mrs. Brooks doesn't remember anything else. She immediately lost consciousness at the scene of the tragedy, and medical professionals attended to her. Henry wandered aimlessly among the remnants of what used to be their home, repeating in a bewildered state. What have I done? What have I caused? I need to cancel everything. I'll go to him right away and tell him that we need to cancel everything. Mrs. Ward was buried in the village cemetery, just as she wanted. Mrs. Brooks changed significantly after her mother's death. Her relationship with her husband also took a different turn. Henry changed as well. Immediately after his grandmother's funeral, he tried to meet with Isidore for several days, but his store was closed, and none of their acquaintances knew where the entrepreneur had gone. 4 days later, Henry encountered an old man who told him, "I can't say for sure, but Isidore left quickly 2 weeks ago. He either ran away or they caught him." The old man went on to speak about the incompetence of the authorities and injustice, but Henry, overwhelmed by the realization of his own guilt, didn't pay attention to the local residents' outraged speech. He aimlessly wandered the streets for several hours, trying to answer the question for himself: what should he do now? Henry desperately wanted to share his actions with someone, but Indy was at work, and he couldn't tell his mother about his involvement in his grandmother's death. He decided to call Mr. Hughes. He answered right away. "Hello, Henry, good to hear from you. How's life, young man?" "Not so great, actually. I have problems, and I urgently need advice." "Mr. Hughes, do you have some time?" "Of course, I always have a moment for you. And I can advise you on how to live without problems. Where would you prefer to meet? Maybe we can sit at a bar and discuss it." "No, it's better at your home." "Agreed. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Henry was confident that he could trust his mother's husband. They quickly developed a friendly relationship, and to be honest, Henry even liked Carter more than Mr. King. His heart felt somewhat relieved when Mr. Hughes opened the door with a welcoming smile. "Come in, tell me what happened." Henry stood in the hallway, nervously twisting his hat, unsure where to begin. Carter encouraged him, saying, "You can trust me completely, I know how to keep other people's secrets. So go ahead, be brave." Henry swallowed the lump in his throat that was hindering his speech. "I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I feel like I'm responsible for my grandmother's death." Carter was surprised. "Kid, what are you talking about? During the fire, you were hundreds of kilometers away from the country cottage. Besides, the investigators said the fire was caused by a gas equipment malfunction." Henry ran his hand through his hair, trying to push aside the bangs hanging over his eyes. "That's true, but not entirely. The gas service came there in the summer, right in front of me, and everything was fine. They even issued a compliance certificate. Grandma was always very responsible when it came to safety. I can't believe she didn't notice a gas leak. Moreover, she called me when the fire started. It initially started on the porch. It means it was deliberate. Grandma spoke to me, she called for help. The house exploded when the fire spread to the kitchen." Mr. Hughes listened attentively to his stepson, but his demeanor indicated that he was preoccupied with solving another, more important issue. "Wait, Henry, don't rush. You can't assess the situation rationally right now because you and your mother have experienced an intense trauma. But I don't see any evidence supporting your theory, and I don't understand why you're blaming yourself." No, Carter, I'm definitely guilty. You just don't know everything. After all, I instigated all this to fulfill my dream." "Hold on, how does your dream connect to your grandmother?" Carter asked. And Henry told Carter about his plan to get revenge on his mother. He described in detail the deal he made with Isidore and the document he signed. By the end of his confession, tears streamed down his face, smearing his hat. "I'm a despicable creature, a scoundrel. What should I do now?" How can I go on living? Mr. Hughes sat down next to the guy. Henry, pull yourself together. First, you need to calm down. Yes, sometimes terrible things happen that are not our fault but due to circumstances. That's exactly what happened to you. That document, if it really existed, has no legal force. It was just your Isidore playing a prank on you and trying to make some money. He deceived you like a fool. You think so? I'm simply confident in the truth of my words because I know this kind of crowd well. I don't mean your Isidore specifically, I don't know that person. I'm speaking in general. Of course, your actions were unreasonable. You can't prioritize personal interests over the greater good. But I hope you've learned your lesson and it won't happen again. Carter, I promise, I swear, I will never, not even in my thoughts, wish harm to my mother. That's good to hear. I believe you. Now go to your bride and don't even think about telling your mother this nonsense. Don't upset her any further. She's been through enough. After the conversation with Carter, Henry calmed down a bit and even felt a little better. However, worry resurfaced in his heart when one day he accidentally saw Carter on the street in the company of Isidore. The animated conversation between the men made it clear that they knew each other. This discovery shocked the young man, and the thought burned into his brain, they know each other. But Carter told me he had never met Isidore. Henry jumped out of the car to immediately confront them and find out the truth, but Isidore had already disappeared, and Carter smirked at his stepson. You've been keeping tabs on me? Carter, I believed in you, and yet you lied to me. You're in cahoots with Isidore. I want to cancel our agreement. Passers-by turned to look at them, and Carter had to take immediate action. He shoved the guy into his car. Listen here, pup. If you keep running around town with your threats, your bride may not live to see a happy wedding. It's not a threat, it's a warning. I also want to remind you that according to the law, you'll be equally responsible for your involvement, and it won't be a small sentence. So think and weigh all the perspectives. Now get lost, and I better not cross paths with you again. Mr. Hughes, please wait, I beg you, please don't. I'm ready to cancel this damn agreement. I'll even pay. Kid, calm down, don't stir up trouble. Everything will be fine. Are you sure? Absolutely. And my mom? You won't do anything bad to her? Are you an idiot? How could I harm my beloved woman? You promise? The man replied irritably, do I have to give you a sworn oath as well? Carter pushed Henry out of the car and quickly drove away. He saw his stepson standing bewildered in the middle of the street while passing cars honked at him. He cursed out loud. Didn't Isidore warn him about getting involved with this greenhorn? He could ruin everything. He needed to hurry before this fool spilled the beans to his mommy. There was another reason that compelled Carter to expedite his actions. Even before the tragic death of Mrs. Ward, his wife had informed him that they were expecting a child. This news delighted Mrs. Brooks, but at the same time, she was concerned about late motherhood. Carter, I'm so scared, and it feels awkward to give birth at this age. It seems improper. Silly woman, it's a God-given gift. Your age has nothing to do with it. We should rejoice in such a blessing from fate. But Mr. Hughes was lying. The news of the impending addition didn't bring him joy. It meant that there would be another contender for the wealthy inheritance. That's why he spent the last few days feverishly searching for a painless yet effective solution to this problem. Yet, he maintained his composure, and his wife suspected nothing. Carter didn't tell his wife about the conversation with his stepson, and after dinner, he suggested taking a ride outside the city. The plan had already been devised, and he began to execute his cunning plan, which he jokingly called, killing two birds with one stone. The two birds in question were his wife and the unborn child. After dinner, Carter cleared the table himself and then smiled at his wife. How about a little trip outside the city? You need some fresh air. I know a wonderful place. Picture this, a forest and silence, and in the middle of the forest, a little cottage. The woman laughed. On chicken legs, perhaps? Carter, did you decide to take me to visit a witch? Aren't you afraid she'll put us in a shovel and roast us in the oven? Caroline, I do appreciate your sense of humor, but I have purely good intentions. After all, I care about you and our little one. Mrs. Brooks kissed her husband. Thank you, darling. I can't even imagine how Henry will react to the news of having a brother or sister. He'll probably think his mother has gone mad, and he'll be right. A 20-year age difference. Carter helped his wife put on a white coat. He listened to her superstitions once again and sternly said, I don't want to hear any more of these conversations. Do you understand me? Okay, Carter. I won't say anything more. I haven't told anyone yet, not even Laurette. She doesn't know I'm expecting. And that's the right thing to do. There's no need to make a fuss prematurely, and old folks say it's a bad omen. And who was just reproaching me for superstitions? Carter, consistency is important. The SUV confidently made its way along the snowy road. Mrs. Brooks admired the picturesque winter landscapes. Oh my, how beautiful. Thank you for taking me out of the city. Without turning his head, Carter said. With you, Caroline, it's the only way. Only by force. What can I do? We all have our flaws. Carter, how much farther to your cabin? About 5 kilometers in total. Caroline flinched when her husband abruptly turned right. Carter, be careful. I don't like your idea with the cottage in the woods. It's starting to get dark. Don't panic. Look, there's our forester's cottage. Suddenly, a clearing came into view, with a magical cottage standing in the middle. What a beauty. We need to take a picture for the memory. The woman jumped out of the car into the snow and activated the video camera on her smartphone. She didn't have time to capture any beautiful shots because suddenly a strong male hand covered her face. She tried to scream but instead inhaled a sharp scent resembling lemonade, and then everything plunged into infinite darkness. Grandmother Ariadne hadn't appeared to Caroline in her dreams for a long time, but here she was now. The woman clearly understood that everything was happening in a dream but didn't want to leave this sweet tranquility. Just like in the good old days, her grandmother sat in her armchair, knitting, with the thread flowing upwards like a measured snake. Grandmother smiled at her and asked, Do you like my work, granddaughter? Yes. Grandma, will you teach me? Well, there's nothing to learn here. You take a loop and thread it through with the yarn, and that's how you knit the whole row. Here, give it a try yourself. Caroline reached for the knitting needles, but suddenly her grandmother shouted. Not now, my dear, you can finish it later. Run, my darling, don't delay. Trouble is lurking behind you. Caroline turned around and saw Carter's distorted face, which instantly transformed into a wolf's mask. She wanted to run, but her hands and feet wouldn't obey because they were tightly bound. She tried to scream, but only a hoarse sound escaped her throat. Suddenly, everything disappeared, the grandmother and Carter in his wolf guise. Caroline woke up, and her body was immediately filled with pain. She tried to get up, but her hands and feet were bound with ropes, and her mouth was taped shut. Memories slowly returned, and she realized with horror that it was no accident. Long ago, in her childhood, Caroline had read that a person's senses sharpen in critical situations. She looked around as much as she could and realized that she was inside a wooden structure. The wind and snow seeped through massive gaps. Soon, she felt her bound limbs growing numb from the cold. With incredible effort, she rolled over to the other side of the room, where she saw the outline of a window frame. Gritting her teeth in pain, she pressed her face against the jamb and then abruptly dropped down. The sticky tape remained hanging on the wooden ledge. Caroline started calling for help, but her plea came out quietly. Help! She cleared her throat and was about to make another attempt, but she heard distinct footsteps. She recognized those footsteps. Carter. How could he? Thoughts in her head began to fall into place, guiding her towards a rational solution, but fear hindered her concentration. It was only when the scent of gasoline became distinct in the frigid air that she understood the significance of her grandmother Ariadne's words. It took her a while to reach the tied hands in front of her with her mouth, but the desire to stay alive gave her strength, and soon her hands were freed. Then the woman removed the restraints from her legs and listened to determine the direction from which the footsteps were coming. It took her only a few seconds to overcome the window. Waist deep in snow, she hurried to take cover in the forest. To drown out the voice of fear, Carolyn kept encouraging herself. "Come on, Carolyn. Just a little bit more, as long as he doesn't notice your tracks." She was almost at the edge of the forest when a loud bang came from behind. The woman turned around and saw a column of flame rising into the sky. She was paralyzed with horror for a minute, but quickly regained her composure. "Run. Carolyn, run." She doesn't remember how long she trudged through the snow, hoping to see signs of life. Finally, something flickered in the distance, and the woman realized it was lights in the houses, but it would still take her another 2 hours to reach a dwelling. Exhausted and frozen, she knocked on the nearest house by the road. The door didn't open for a long time, and in despair, she was about to go to another dwelling, but then footsteps were heard, and an old woman's voice asked, "Who's there? Please, let me in. I've had an accident. I just need to warm up a bit." Everyone asks like that, and then they do something forbidden. "Woman, dear, I won't cause you any harm. Show me some identification, then maybe I'll let you in." "I don't have any documents." Mrs. Brooks sat on the porch and cried. Her strength had left her, and she realized she would freeze here, where it was so warm nearby. Suddenly, the door opened with a crash, and a little man loudly said, "Why, poor thing, are you sitting out here in the cold? Come inside." Mrs. Brooks followed the host inside and immediately caught the attention of the little squinty eyes of the host's wife. "Matthew, your kindness will be your downfall one day. Where did this bird come from, do you know?" "I don't know." "And should we leave a person to certain death?" "What's it to you? She doesn't even have any identification. Maybe she's a repeat offender?" The old man spat on the floor with a sense of disgust. "What are you talking about, you old fool? You see repeat offenders everywhere. You should watch fewer TV shows." The offended hostess grumbled and went somewhere behind the stove, while the old man warmly offered the guest, "Don't pay attention to what she says. She's not mean. In her heart, my Nancy is the kindest person. We just had a major unpleasant incident. We welcomed some strangers, and it turns out they had escaped from prison." Grandma peeked out from behind the stove, holding a pot from which smoke was rising. "My husband and I thought they were decent people, but by morning, they had robbed us. Then the policeman said we had sheltered repeat offenders. But how are we supposed to know what a person is like? It's not written on their forehead." The old woman placed the pot on the table. "The potatoes just finished baking in the stove. Potatoes steamed will warm you up in an instant. I'll make some tea now." After dinner and strong tea, Carolyn began to feel drowsy. She couldn't believe that everything that happened today had happened to her. It felt like she was just observing another woman. The old woman slipped a pillow under her head and scolded her husband. "Why are you making so much noise with your shoes? Can't you see that the person is sleeping?" Henry was going crazy. He understood that Carter had lied to him, and his mother didn't disappear for no reason. The whole police force was on their feet, but his concern for Indy overshadowed everything else. He didn't know how to protect her and was torn apart inside. Indy gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "Henry, tell me, besides your mother's disappearance, is there anything else bothering you right now? You're acting very strangely." "I'm sorry, maybe I just haven't seen people whose mothers go missing." "Indy, you're absolutely right, and I feel like it's better to tell you and one more person everything. If, after all that you learn, you don't want to see me around anymore, I'll understand. I won't bother you." "Is it really that scary?" "Henry, maybe you're overreacting. Your mother will be found, and everything will be fine. Couldn't she have just had an argument with her new husband, for example, and, feeling upset, hid at a friend's place?" "No, Indy, you know that's not true. Mom is a very responsible person. No family quarrel would ever throw her off balance. Yes, you're right about that. Mrs. Brooks has the character of tempered steel. So, who do you want to talk to? There's one person. He's my father's friend, and he's always tried to court my mother. I never understood why my mother chose Carter. Henry took a few minutes to gather his thoughts and then dialed Mr. King's phone number. Henry, any news? Mr. King asked. No, but I need to talk to you. It's about my mom, Henry replied. All right, where shall we meet? Come to our place. Henry gave him the address. Just make sure no one sees you. Is it that serious? Mr. King asked. Henry let out a long sigh. Yes, it's very serious. When Mr. King learned that Carolyn had gone missing, he couldn't believe it. People like her don't just disappear. It could only happen if someone had taken her. And how could he help? Carolyn didn't trust unfamiliar people, and among the close ones, only Carter was a bad person. Dave had tried to gather information about him, and he had acquaintances who could do it, but they found nothing. It was as if Carter was a person without a past. But everything seemed fine in their family, and Mr. King tried to hide his concerns. Who was he to intrude into another family? And then what happened, happened. All the suspicions surged back with new force. He was driving at maximum speed to the house where Henry and Indy lived, ready to hear something important about Carter. But what he heard left him in complete shock. Henry, how could you? Why? Were your own family members strangers to you? Indy quietly cried on the couch. Do you even realize that he could have done something terrible to your mom? Mr. King asked. No, it can't be. He loved Mom, Henry protested. People like him don't love anyone but themselves. Dave pondered deeply. Right, we need to hide Indy now, so we don't have to worry about her, and then take immediate action. I need to make a few phone calls. After some time, he said, I'll take Indy to a safe place now. Sorry, Henry, but I won't tell you where. You've proven to be unreliable. I'll come back later, and we'll figure things out together. You better start thinking now. Mr. King returned after an hour. So, did you come up with anything? He asked. No, but I found a strange news article online. Not far from here, about 15 kilometers away, there's a nice forest. There's a little house there. Once, Carter took me hunting, and it seemed like he was deliberately looking for it. We walked for a long time until we reached it. He smiled then, but didn't even go inside. Only after that did we do what we came for. Do you think Carolyn is there? No, God forbid. The thing is, I found a news article online saying that the house burned down last night. You understand? There's nothing left there, no signs of life. No one knows why it happened. Get ready, we're going there. Henry stood up and then looked at Mr. King with fearful eyes. But what if? Let's not think about the worst-case scenario. He found the right turn on the first try. When they arrived at the location, they were surprised, no trace. Henry's mother had disappeared 2 days ago, so there was nothing surprising about it. They wandered around for a long time, hesitating to approach the burnt-down house. Suddenly, Henry stumbled upon something in the snow. He thought it was a branch and kicked it harder. A phone flew out from the snow. This is Mom's phone. He grabbed it. Mr. King rushed over to him. Oh, Carolyn. But Henry wasn't listening anymore. He began to scatter the charred boards and logs with his hands. To be honest, no one really cared about this little house that resembled a small shed. Dave rushed to help him. After an hour, they stood there, dirty, looking down. Nothing. This means that Mom isn't here, right? I think so. Let's think, could she have dropped the phone and then run away? Henry paused for a moment. Mom could have done anything, he said. Let's go to the car, Mr. King said. Why? We need to search. Maybe Mom is freezing somewhere right now. No, Henry, it's time to call for help. We need to act as quickly as possible. If Carter realizes that Carolyn isn't dead, he'll start looking for her. You understand that we need some evidence to obtain a death certificate. He'll come here for them, trust me. You get behind the wheel, here's the map. We'll drive around the nearby villages, and I need to contact a childhood friend, and then the mayor. It seems to me that he, without even realizing it, played a significant role in this whole spectacle. Who is your friend? My friend is a very good person. It's a pity he didn't hold the position he holds now back then. Otherwise, we wouldn't have let your father's case be closed. Mr. King was talking on the phone while Henry cautiously drove the car. He chose the village that, according to the map, was closest to that little house. But that was if they were going in a straight line. It was unlikely that Mom could have made that journey. But what if? He wanted to hope so much. He stopped the car in front of the first house. The house was small, and it was evident that elderly people lived there because everything needed repairs, although minor ones. An old man immediately appeared on the porch. He looked at Henry warily. "Hello, my name is Henry. Please help me, I'm looking for a woman. Maybe she was in your village?" Henry took out a photograph. The old man glanced at it briefly. "No, we haven't had anyone like that here. Go on your way." Henry lowered his head and took a step away. "And who are you to her?" He turned back to the old man. "I'm her son. And this is a friend of my mother and my late father." "What's your name, you say?" "Henry." "And the friend?" "Mr. King." Hope awakened in Henry's heart. "I'm begging you, if you know anything about her, please tell us. If other people find her before us, it's over for her." "Are you talking about her husband?" Henry felt his legs go weak. Dave pulled up next to him. He listened attentively to the conversation. "Yes, her husband. Follow me. But if anything happens, I'll shoot you right away. Understand?" Henry ran after him. As he entered the house, he immediately saw his mother. She was lying on the couch, covered with a thick blanket. Her eyes were feverishly gleaming, and she was trembling. Just in time. She caught a severe cold. "And we don't even have a paramedic in the village," the old man sadly shook his head. Dave knelt down in front of Carolyn. "Well, how are you?" A tear rolled down the woman's cheek, and she closed her eyes. Dave stood up. "All right, we need to take Mom to the hospital urgently, and then the interesting part begins." They were already driving on the highway when they encountered Carter's car, followed by a police car. They were all heading in the direction of the burned-down house. Dave said, "I wonder what his version is for the police. Did she call him from there or something?" When we were at the hospital, Dave mentioned a completely different name, and Henry understood. Now the most important thing was to hold on. "I'll stay with Mom." The doctor looked at him grimly. "You'd better go get the documents, young man. How can you bring your sick mother and not take the documents?" "I'll go, doctor, definitely, just let her feel a little better." "Do you want me to pay you?" "So that you don't worry." The doctor smiled and accepted a few bills. "But you don't look like ordinary people, but make sure you bring the documents by tomorrow." Mr. King barely nodded, and Henry immediately assured, "I'll definitely bring them tomorrow." Henry sat by his mother's bedside and watched her. What would happen now? He had faith in Mr. King, he would manage. He would move mountains for his mother's sake. But Henry was different. He could only be a scoundrel for the sake of money. Henry lowered his head, covered his face with his palms, and cried. What will happen now? Mom will never forgive him, and neither will Indy. Time passed slowly. It first grew dark, then it started to get light outside. Only occasionally did a nurse break the silence, coming to check on his mother and give her some injections. By morning, she sighed with satisfaction. Well, the temperature is slowly but steadily dropping. Call me when your mother wakes up. Henry nodded in agreement. So, it wasn't all that bad. Mom would recover. Mrs. Brooks opened her eyes and jerked. She was so frightened to find herself not with the old couple but in some other place. Did Carter find her? But then why didn't he finish what he started? She sat up and looked around. It was a hospital. She felt a little relieved. Son. Henry immediately jumped up. Mama. Mommy, Mom, forgive me. He hugged her and burst into tears. Carolyn stroked his back. Son, what happened? Why are you crying? Mama. He didn't have time to finish talking as Mr. King, Indy, Miss Jackson, and some other people entered the room. The doctor tried to prevent this chaos, but one of the men showed him some identification, and the doctor quietly disappeared. Dave, what's going on? Where is Carter? He's dangerous. Mr. King sighed. But we won't be able to talk to Carter. As soon as it became clear that he was being sought, his friends took care of the witness. He thought he was in charge, but it wasn't true. Isidore, the one behind all this, is already being hunted. And I assure you, they will definitely find him. Isidore. I've heard about him, he's just a simple salesman, right?
Oh no.
He may appear as a simple salesman to people. But he's committed such crimes. By the way, your Carter's real name wasn't Carter at all, but Leroy. But why? Why me? Henry stood up. Mom, it's my fault. Dave didn't let him speak. Because you were an easy target. A month later, Carolyn was discharged from the hospital. Even while still in the hospital bed, she was already dealing with business matters. Carter had taken a lot of money. They couldn't get it back, and they needed to rebuild their own company. The mayor came to visit her. I'm sorry, Mrs. Brooks, I completely misjudged people. I didn't see the scoundrels. They presented everything so convincingly. Showed us the benefits that awaited us, and we needed jobs so badly. Oh, come on, Mr. Stewart, it's not like you did it on purpose. Carolyn lost her child, and she was saddened, of course, but she understood that perhaps she was not meant to have a son or daughter with Carter. That is, with Leroy. Dave came every day. He firmly told Carolyn that he would keep coming until she agreed to marry him. Just before her discharge, Indy came to see her. Mrs. Brooks put her laptop aside. The conversation was going to be difficult. Mrs. Brooks, I've come to ask you to allow Henry to leave. We'll go to some other town and start over. We've agreed not to mention anything. You don't know a lot, but I wouldn't want to tell you everything. Carolyn sighed. I know everything, and I know why Isidore suddenly wanted to take over my company. How? Indy, you know, my logical thinking is intact. I just want to ask you, are you ready for this? You understand that Henry's actions are terrible. With a person like him, you can't fully let your guard down. Indy tossed her hair. Yes, I understand everything, but I'll manage. You'll still be proud of us. Carolyn smiled and hugged her. I really hope so, girl, because right now I can't forgive him. I understand you, and he feels crushed. We'll start fresh. Indy left, and Carolyn pondered. Based on her experience, she was certain that people don't change, but she wanted to believe in the power of Indy's love. The next day after being discharged, the young couple left, hastily getting married the night before. And as soon as the train disappeared into the distance, Carolyn turned to Dave. So, Mr. King, are we back to contemplating? He looked at her in surprise. I don't understand, what are you talking about? Well, what do you mean? Did you change your mind about marrying me? He looked at her skeptically at first, but then picked her up in his arms. No, don't you dare hope so. I've been waiting and hoping for so many years, not to change my mind now.